Well, hello there. It has been a hot minute. Um, yes, kind of can't believe week 17 is over, basically. Last day today of week 17. So tomorrow is going to be week in review. Um, yes, I do have to say I'm not quite happy with the progress I've been making. Let me show you what I mean with my character illustration here. Obviously, first of all, the difference here in line weights is pretty obvious. So that's something I will have to change for the second character here. What I also noticed is just how difficult I found certain aspects of this drawing. For example, when I first tried drawing this armor here, or starting out with the what's the word for these? I think greaves, right? So like the shin armor, basically. Let me just see. Armor greaves. Yes, a greave is a piece of armor that protects the leg. All right. Yes, that's basically what I mean. When I tried drawing these first, I feel like I used way too much time, given the progress I made. Same with the feet. I really can't draw feet, apparently, or at least not as easily as I would like to be able to. So that's certainly something I have to remember to practice a bit more. But since I'm starting out, basically everything is up for practice. But I just want to get better at like character illustrations for now. While I like exploring different subjects while doodling, the like freehand, the loose, no brain activity drawing that I do. Not so much recently, the past 3 weeks at this point, but before that, So yeah, I can't say I'm having like a burnout or anything, but I've been thinking that perhaps I shouldn't force myself to adhere to this like character design drawing as much. So, right, the main goal, obviously, right, for why I'm doing all of this, any of this really, is because I want to get better. Obviously, right? And if you remember, I've set up a. Let me see if I can find it. Projects, art, drawings, critter, training, variables, limitations. Right. So I set up like limitations because this is like supposed to be a sort of drawing to gauge my skill level, or help me, figure out what I'm not really good at. And so, for obvious reasons, let me just actually write this down. So regarding illustrations, I guess. I personally just named the file or the folder where it's saved variables, because I got the idea from 10,000 Hours, where he was like, since art is such a vast, discipline really, you have to well, break it down, right? Something we always do as artists anyway. But you have to limit the reach or well, the variables, you know? You have to limit um, what you're drawing if you want to figure out where you're at, right? So, since you know where you started, right? It's like a map, right? In order to figure out how to get to your end point, you need to know two things, or three rather. Or let's just keep the end. Let's say you just know the end point. You know where you want to go, right? You have artists that you really look up to, that you really want to be like in different aspects. For me, that would be Stephen uh, Travers. I always forget his last name. That would be Stephen Travers for his architectural design and his environments, as in the detail work. Like, I really like the way he does it, and I really like how he draws architecture and buildings, and just well, all things constructed really, in terms of, you know, again, buildings. So let me just actually write this down, just so I have this little like guideline in a way. So I'll just write down detail work, art, architecture. I actually like another artist too, a Japanese one, but he's very similar in approach to Stephen, and so I've chosen to follow Stephen more closely, since he has a lot of lessons and just videos where he explains his process and does the demos and all that stuff, you know. So architecture, and some environments, let's just say. I also really like the environments, the concept art done by Drawing Sessions. I unfortunately don't know his real name that he goes by, but perhaps that's an easy fix. Perhaps he actually has it on his YouTube channel somewhere. I just didn't bother looking. Ah, yes, Bobby. Bobby Rebholz. That's a very German sounding last name. Perhaps he is. So, anyway, Bobby. Very nice name, Bobby. Always reminds me of Supernatural when I hear that name, Bobby. Well, anyway, let me just write this down. So, for detail work, actually, let me give this like a headline. So, guides for art, perhaps? Apostrophes goals, maybe? It's just so I can, you know, more easily remember this stuff. So for let me actually split this up in categories. Let's just say environment, environments. So by that I mean specifically the concept art sort of environments, the stuff where you would put creatures in, you know, the stuff you would mostly use in the context of making video games or comics and such. So I'll definitely give this to Bobby. So this is Bobby. In this discipline of art, this subsection, drawing session. just what I'll write next to it. So environments. Then I want architecture. Architecture. Okay, there we go. I can still write English. So that's definitely Stephen Travers. And since he just uses his name for his channel, I don't have to really do much. Stephen Travers. So, I also want to, as I said this before, I also want to focus on hard surface. I want to learn how to draw hard surface things, cars, but mostly just for the reasons of being able to draw mechs or robots, you know. In that regard, I would certainly, let me just write this down, hard surface. More specifically, mechs, perhaps. This one is a bit more difficult to decide, but well, I think I'm going to go with Christopher Young or Lines Sensei. Because, like, Lines has very nice tutorials regarding all of this. But I think it was Christopher Young. I have to see actually. I don't quite remember. I might be misremembering actually. Let me just see. Okay. No, it's not him. Okay, no, it's not him. It's not Christopher Young. I guess that was a different artist. Let me see if I have him subscribed here. So let me see. It's not pen drawing. It's not Leviathan. LLYD art, perhaps. No, this is like a very nice portrait artist, though. So, oh yeah. On that note, if you are really into portraits and just characters in general, and you like semi-realistic images or art styles rather, check out LLYD art on YouTube. Very interesting fellow. But that's not what I'm here for right now. So let me see. As much as I like Keenan, he's not who I'm looking for. Not the droid I'm looking for. It's not Pluvium. It's not Real. It's not Scott. I might not have him subscribed anymore, actually. Perhaps it's the drawing database. Like, it's a fairly young. So, like, I don't think he's 40 years old yet. He's American as far as I remember. And he can draw mechs very well. I just personally don't remember his name, channel or otherwise. So, yeah. Might actually have to give up on this guy for now. Maybe I'll find him later. And I'll just write down Bobby and Lines. So Bobby for the reasons of his kind of methodical but also just very loose approach to how he sketches hard surface objects. I really like that. I can do a lot with that. And also I like how much emphasis he puts on line weights. And since that's something I have to control better, I really like, watching his videos and trying out his lessons, that sort of thing. So yeah, I don't think I can find the guy I was looking for. It's not Tyler Edlin, as far as I remember. That's the... Yeah, right. It's not him. It's not him. Well, unfortunately, I can't find the artist I was looking for, so for hard surface and max, I'll just write down lines. Lines, Sensei, and Bobby. All right. So back to the reason why I am actually writing all of this down, right? Now I have like 3 disciplines, right? With at least one artist that inspires me in this specific subject, right? In my case, environments, architecture, and hard surface slash mech drawing or robots, you know. And the point of all of this is just to have a goal, like an ultimate final goal or something intermediary that you don't know yet if you will go past or not, right? So it doesn't have to be the ultimate goal. You don't have to know where you want to go with your art already. You just have to have some sort of guide in terms of the direction you want to go. So you could just angle this or approach this like goal setting. I don't know if that's a word. The setting of a goal, essentially, with like some absolute category in mind. Like, this is the greatest artist, right? In this field, this is the greatest artist in that field. You could also just look for people that have an art style you like, you know, for whatever reason. You just like their art style, whatever it is. Try and figure out and narrow down what you like with their art style if you can. You don't have to. If it just looks nice, that's good enough. It's a good enough goal. So, the point of my character illustration here is essentially figuring out where I am yet on my map, right? So, we're all starting out somewhere, obviously, and that somewhere is usually very, very terrible, bad, and trash. You don't want to look at the art that you create in this time period. You don't want to show it to anyone, essentially. And there's going to be lots and lots of failures, but that's where you are. Now you have a goal as well, right? You know your artists that you like. Could be Wallop, could be, I don't know, Mikey Mega Mega. Could be any artist, really. Anywhere. Could be Leonardo da Vinci, for all I know, you know? Old masters, new masters, whoever. Whatever inspires you to get better at. Where you feel like when you look at this artist's work, you don't feel envy. You feel a sense of awe, perhaps, you know? I don't know. That's just me. So take it with a grain of salt. Anyway, and we're doing this like character illustration where we are controlling the variables, right? We are limiting ourselves to not just sit down and say, okay, now I want to draw the greatest piece of art ever, right? I make the greatest background, I make the greatest characters, the greatest story that's being told with these characters. I'm going to look at every single aspect of making a drawing or painting, rather. And I'm going to master all of it or pull every single how to say this, lever in a way where, you know, now you're going to concern yourself with every aspect: composition, line weights, shadows, you know, values, color. You're going to look at the, you know, different ways of drawing perspective, you know, consider the space where your characters are placed in. You're going to design the environment, you know, creatures perhaps even. Like, you go above and beyond, right? Because you think that's what you have to do. Unfortunately, not only will it very likely cause you to drop that specific piece of art, since you just don't know that much, or rather, since you just know that little, you're probably going to get very, very frustrated when you're trying this, you know? So we're controlling for the variables to have a clean and clear idea of what we were doing and how to replicate it. So in my case, that would be two full body humanoid characters. They have to be from a specific, or rather from a existing franchise. So they have to have existed before, no original characters. Because I don't want to take the shortcuts, because I don't know that much, really. Or rather, I don't know anything, if we're being honest. I thought, well, making it fan art by someone who is at that level that I want to achieve, might be more helpful. Also, the characters have to be fully rendered, so they have to have, shadows. They have to have color in. They have to have, well, perhaps not proper line weight. I don't know how to define that, but it shouldn't just be a sketch, is essentially what I'm trying to say with this rule. Then without direct reference. So no pose references, no one-to-one redrawing. What is fine is reference for clothes that the characters are wearing, references for hands, so long as you're not trying to copy them too much, since you will eventually move into the realm of not, having your brain remember how to draw these things or pull from your memory how to draw these things. And you're just moving into the realm of, okay, I have the reference in front of me. Now I'm just going to copy it, right? That's what I want to eliminate or reduce to a significant degree. So yeah, reference for likeness is obviously allowed. Yeah, preferably no reference for pose, because actually I wrote down here that I allow the pose reference, but honestly, the way I've drawn it, I haven't used any pose reference, and I felt like that was a good idea, because I would have just ended up redrawing it anyway if I had used pose reference. So I will rather change that rule here. I could actually do that right now. Oh. Okay, I actually have to open it. That was deceptive. I was thinking for a second that I could just edit the notepad text file right in the Windows Explorer. So yeah. Also, there's going to be no time limit, no backgrounds, and I have to start out with thumbnails for this particular drawing, for these two characters here, Psycho and Kivia. Actually, let me see, where is she? There she is. So for these two characters, I used neither pose reference nor any other sort of direct reference. I didn't even use reference for armor. I just tried and figure this out myself. And I don't know what this is here, this line, what you would call this. In terms of like shadow, this would, I suppose, be the Terminator line. I think if I'm remembering correctly. So like the line where the shadow hits the light side. So where the light side of the object turns, where the form turns into the shadow side. So that kind of thing is very easy to notice for very angular shapes, like squares and such, right? So let's say I have a square here, right? A cube of some sort. Let me just try and draw this semi-satisfactory. Okay, this should be okay. So a terminator line would be something like, let's say this side here is very dark. The terminator line is exactly this edge here. So if this is light, if this is the light side or the bright side, right, of the foam, then the terminator line, as far as I remember, I hope I'm not misremembering here now, is this line here. That's directly on the edge between the shadow side and the light side. So yeah, I just tried to play around with that a little bit when drawing the armor. So this is mostly original. Although I did look at, actually, never mind. I did actually look at armor reference for the character specifically. So like I had like this figurine of Kivia. So yeah. Also, I really want to get like 3D models right now. I still didn't get around to buying any. I just didn't look it up, honestly. I always forget. So actually, let me write this down. So I want some action figurines or some skeletal, like, model, I guess, of a human. So let me write this down. Get 3D models for drawing. All right. All in all, my current goal is to slow down when I'm drawing, be more mindful of what I'm drawing, since honestly I'm like a very intuitive kind of person. So I don't think much. There's no like extrapolating of thought in a way. Oftentimes I don't even know what I'm going to say before I say it. It's a very funny way of being, I guess. It's kind of like, yeah. It's almost like a surprise every time you start talking, because you don't know what's gonna just come out. Although obviously that's a bit what's the word? Over exaggerated, I suppose. It's not that bad, it's not like I can't form sentences that fit the context. Anyway, but since I am quite the intuitive person, I have to take care when I'm trying to learn something that I'm conscious of why I'm doing the things that I'm doing to learn a certain thing, right? I have to be aware of what I'm trying to learn, obviously. So I have to catch myself to be aware. What do I want to learn? How do I learn it? And is this particular practice approach going to lead me to learning this thing that I want to learn about, And so I have to slow down. I haven't so much not deliberately, in the last few streams. I don't know. I don't know how to say it. What is this? What is this line here? All right, it's the shoulder. Almost forgot. So let me just put this notebook here to the side. Actually, let me drink something really quickly. Just mute myself for a second. All right, so actually I'm pretty much done yapping. Almost another hour. Always talk so much. Very sorry about that. Yes. I hope I ended the train of thought with the map and the goal setting, the setting of goals. I don't know, whatever. However you would call that, right? The planning. Let's just call it the planning. But just to reiterate, I suppose, I've tried the approach of limiting the variables in my art, in my illustration making, essentially. And this is really the first real attempt at it. You know, I did the thumbnailing beforehand. I didn't just rush into it. I didn't use like 10 billion types of like reference in terms of like what I've seen other artists do without understanding it. You know, only used what I thought I needed, or rather what was within the limits of the rule set. And the issue I've run into is that I've stuck too much to the how do I say this, to the process of making this illustration. I didn't take a break is essentially what I want to say. So I would get stuck for like 2 hours basically redrawing 5 lines, frankly, you know, and that wasn't good. And I think the main culprit or the reason for this was that I really know very little, right? And I've run into the issue that I couldn't imagine how to draw this thing. For example, how to draw the well, would you call it knee pad? Not really. The armor right on top of the knee, right? I couldn't imagine how to draw it. So it took me like basically the entire day in terms of like, you know, the 2 hours that I'm drawing here, usually, um, just to get this idea across, you know? I didn't do anything else. And I think that's not helpful. What I should have tried instead, and I think I've done this a few times, you know, when I would get stuck drawing something for this illustration here, a part of it at least, you know, I would go to the side and just try to rudimentarily, I don't know what the word would be the correct one. I would just try and draw in very basic shapes the thing I was trying to represent in perspective. And that's also a big aspect of my difficulties, the perspective. So up until the point where I started laying down these perspective lines, I had a really hard time actually getting this stuff to look right, you know? And I still do. Like, for example, this leg here, if you look at it, it looks very, 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 very weird. I would have liked to not draw it like this, and I've tried to at some point, but I'm just too lazy to fix all of this, honestly. I'd rather take the hit to like um beauty, I guess, or anatomical like correctness in a way, or believability rather is what I want to say. I'd rather take the hit to believability with this like very weird looking leg here at this point in time than, you know, trying to perfect everything about this drawing, because that's also a point I wanted to make. I'm still not over the hill of perfection, you know. I'm still not over it. I still have to try and catch myself to keep everything I'm drawing around a 6 out of 10. I can't even write remember anymore. I wrote down remember. Do you remember? Again, I'm kind of stupid right now. Remember. There we go. A 6 out of 10. And I've recently watched like Vera's stream. I think it was the one before the last one, so like sometimes last week. I don't quite remember when. And she was basically there was like a collaboration with another artist, VTuber. I don't think I've actually heard of her before this stream, but I'm not too into the um, VTuber art scene particularly. I just want to make some fan art of my own. I'm not really in the whole network, if you want to say it like that. I don't even have a Twitter account, any account really. I just have this YouTube account. That's all. That's all. I just want to draw, and I want to get better at drawing. So yeah. Anyway, can't believe PewDiePie is already trying to draw a manga, or has actually drawn it. Can't fucking believe it. I didn't watch the video yet fully. I started out and then switched off. I think I went to bed. Maybe I just did something else. I don't remember. But yeah, anyway. I just saved this file here for now. All right. So what was I saying? Right. I think I treaded off path. I went on a tangent when I was talking about Vera and her collaboration. Essentially, she was saying that she had a burnout. I don't know if it was mild or not. And she was also talking about this, we're drawing stuff. I don't think it was Vera, but her like collaboration partner. I don't remember her name. Yeah, she was basically saying that they're always trying to perfect it. When you're drawing, you're always trying to perfect the thing that you are drawing, right? In my case, it would be this illustration. Always trying to perfect it, and I'm not taking the it's good enough route, And that's something I really have to learn, actually. Something I really have to remember. Like, be happy with the good enough. Because the issue is just that it's such a vast subject, learning how to draw, that unless you accept that you're going to draw shit for the vast majority of time, for a very long time, unless you recognize that and accept it, you won't be able to move on, because you will just spend like 9 months on a single illustration and not get it done. You'll suffer from burnout to extents you haven't heard a human be able to have, So you have to be careful about that sort of thing. You really have to remember that good enough, that a 6 out of 10 relative to what you could do, if you really, 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 really tried hard, it's good enough. It's good enough, literally. It could be a 6 out of 10 for you, right? But be a 10 out of 10 for someone else, someone that's even more of a greenhorn in terms of, learning art. So don't get yourself beaten up, and just take it easy as much as you can. Obviously, as I'm doing it currently with the past few streams, only making like two marks and calling it a day is not enough. Just sitting there and essentially doing your like shift is not enough, right? You have to actually be part of this. Like, your ego has to be part of the learning process, because if it's just about the subconscious, right, it's absorbing all of it anyway. You don't even have to be conscious when doing it, right? Your eyes just have to be open, or your ears able to listen. That's why, things like how would you say this, like sleep learning, listening to things in your sleep actually works. It isn't like a one-to-one thing in terms of like retention of knowledge, as would be, say, a repetitive approach where you sit down, study a piece of paper, and then perhaps um, what's the word? Um, recite it essentially to someone else. It's not as effective as that, but given that you're sleeping, it's interesting how that still works. But anyway, that's besides the point. I'm going on a tangent again. Um, I really just want to hammer home 6 out of 10 rule. Watch, what's his name? Xifid, something with X, Y, PH. I don't quite remember. Let me actually look it up. Let me see. The 6 out of 10 rule. Drawing. Why do I not have him like subscribe? That's insane. Honestly, that's insane. Let me just actually rectify this so I don't have to, you know, not 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10. Do not go crazy. Yes, XYPHID. Xifid, I think. Sifid? I don't know how to pronounce that. Not, English native speaker or anything. So let me just subscribe to him. Turn on the bell. I still really don't like the change in YouTube here and why that was necessary. Honestly, I think it was really literally just there to secretly unsubscribe people. Frankly, I don't think there's any reason why you would do this otherwise. So yeah. Okay, so remember the 6 out of 10 rule. So again, I personally learned it from Xifid. So X Y P H I D on YouTube. 6 out of 10 rule. To not go crazy is what the video is titled. To not go crazy, remember the 6 out of 10 rule or something. Let me just look it up if that's true or if I'm misremembering stuff. Oh well. What? No, I don't want to go here. Show more. Am I stupid or something? Didn't I just subscribe to him? I'm fairly certain I did. Yes, there he is. XYPHID. XYPHID. Do not go crazy. Yeah, right. Do not go crazy. I use the 6 out of 10 rule is the video name. So check that one out. If you're having issues with your drawings in terms of perfectionism. Interestingly enough, he's a lot more like someone like Academy of Ideas, if you know them, the two brothers. It's kind of funny how he is essentially a psychology channel while also just making art. It's very funny. It's a very fun and interesting combination. I didn't think I needed, It's very, very interesting though. And it makes sense a lot actually when you think about it, when you actually analyze the value, the communication value of the arts of, say, making paintings, drawing, sketching, all that sort of thing, how deeply that speaks to the human soul, just like music, right? It only makes sense that you would try to combine that with a more analytical approach, as is psychology, right? Or at least the proclaimed, right? Um, exactly. I'm yapping too much. I've yapped too much already, and I've said that before. So I'm gonna go now. Gonna draw. So it's not gonna be a whole lot of anything really. I'll probably try and do some more environments because I really like this approach here. If you look at this image here, I really like this. It's nothing like amazing or new. Like, this is not like I'm doing something that no one has done before me. But yeah, I'm just doing some sketching. Just want to get into the flow and just relax a little bit. Because I do have to say, the drawing, the making of the illustration has been a bit draining since I know that little about it, But I'm pretty happy about where I am right now. So the things I have to fix certainly is the difference in line weight between the two characters and the hair of Kivia. I still haven't drawn. But since it's pretty similar to Psycho's, with the difference being that Psycho has like more like spiky bangs, I guess. I think that's the right bangs, like the hair that's covering your eyes, right? The hairstyle. I think that's a bang. Well, anyway, so I don't have to fix much anymore before I can just go into coloring, which I'm actually really excited for. But I just need a little bit of a break from the line art, from the line work, whatever. It's using up a lot more resources than I thought it would be. My mental capacities are shrinking drastically, is what I want to say. I need some off time, essentially. And don't feel bad about admitting that to yourself. All right? It's also something I want you to remember. So, if you haven't remembered anything from what I've been yapping about, I want you to remember two things. Okay? Or make it three. Make it three. Set a goal and limit um, yourself when you're drawing. Sometimes, like, test yourself by limiting the variables in your drawings to repeat essentially the drawing, the methodology, not necessarily the atmosphere, the theme or whatever. Just keep that in mind when you want to gauge your skills, since when you set your goal, you need to also be able to tell where you are, how far away you are from it. Second, I want you to remember that you shouldn't perfect your drawings. Make them look ugly if you have to. If you have ever read any like self-published comics or mangas, like from aspiring artists, do it like those guys. Okay? They draw a lot of stuff. And some of these mangas are really looking like ass. Honestly. The anatomy is all wrong. The faces look ugly. The colors just kill your eyesight, but they still do it. And I think that's the kind of approach that actually gets you somewhere, when you can just suck up the fact that you're going to make your drawings look dog shit, since you know that little. Might as well draw all the things that you want to draw. Okay, you don't have to limit yourself into studying like 50 hours a day, right? Don't think that you have to do that. In fact, do the opposite of that. Just draw what you really like, and draw it regardless of how terrible it looks. Just draw it. Keep drawing, and then analyze your drawings. Analyze them and figure out what you can't do. try not to force yourself through it, you know? Not asking you to forever be dog shit in your drawings. I want you to improve. But that demands of you to actually draw. And if you're having stage fright, essentially, since you know you're not good enough to draw yet what you have in your mind, you're not going to get anywhere if that's the thing holding you back, right? Obviously. So keep that in mind. Keep the 6 out of 10 rule in your head. And thirdly, I guess, actually, I forgot what I wanted to say. A third point. So 6 out of 10. Set your goals. For all I care, set them very high. Just make intermediary goals on top of that. So yeah, I'm gonna go now, draw a little bit, or rather doodle. And we'll see where I end up with this today. I just want to relax a little bit, you know, get some practice in if I can. And yeah, hope you have fun when you draw. And I'll see you tomorrow, actually, since we're going to have to do week in review for week 17. So yeah, until then, hope you have a very nice day. I hope you have a lot of fun while drawing, and I hope you don't take your drawings too seriously. Serious enough to want to improve them, not so serious that you get stun-locked by the possibility of messing up. That's essentially what I'm trying to say. I should have just summarized this in the first 5 minutes of me starting to yap. Sorry about that. Anyway, I'll see you next time.